It was an ordinary afternoon in a quiet suburban neighborhood when a sudden, alarming call shattered the calm. A young boy, barely able to catch his breath, was on the phone with 911, insisting, "Something's kicking in my belly." His voice trembled with fear, and the dispatcher could hear the panic in every word. Nobody could have predicted what would happen next. Within minutes, the neighborhood streets were alive with flashing lights and sirens. A K-9 unit arrived first, the dog's nose twitching as it sniffed the air, alert to something unusual. Mounted officers joined in, their horses' hooves echoing against the pavement as they carefully approached the boy. Parents and neighbors peered from windows, their faces etched with worry, whispering about what could possibly be happening. The boy clutched his stomach, eyes wide, as a sense of urgency filled the air. The officers exchanged quick, tense glances, signaling that this was no ordinary emergency. With the K-9 moving closer, the boy's discomfort seemed to intensify, almost as if whatever was inside him sensed the attention and was responding. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the shocking discovery that could change everything. The boy's fear, the officer's cautious determination, and the mysterious presence that had set this entire scene into motion created a tension that felt impossible to ignore. Just as the K-9 made a sudden, urgent move, the camera of the moment captured something no one could have imagined. And that's when the story truly begins. The officers froze for a moment, letting the K-9 lead the way as it sniffed along the boy's feet, then slowly moved upward. The boy's mother arrived, rushing toward them with tears in her eyes, calling out his name. But the K-9 wouldn't be distracted. It was clear that the animal had detected something unusual, something that didn't belong. The mounted officer gently guided the boy to a safe spot, keeping the crowd at a distance, while radioing for backup. As neighbors gathered, whispers spread. What could it be? Is he sick? The boy's father arrived too, his face pale and anxious. The scene was chaotic, but the officers maintained a careful focus, their training kicking in as they assessed the situation. The boy explained again, stammering, "It's moving inside me." His words sent a shiver through the crowd. Earlier that day, the boy had been playing in the yard, laughing with his friends, completely unaware of anything unusual. There had been no warning signs, no illness, just a sudden, strange feeling in his belly. His parents recounted the ordinary morning, breakfast, schoolwork, and a walk to the corner store. Nothing seemed out of place until the inexplicable sensation started. The K-9 began circling more aggressively, its ears perked and body tense, while the mounted officer signaled for caution. Everyone watched, hearts pounding, as the officers prepared for whatever shocking discovery lay ahead. The boy gripped his mother's hand tightly, fear mixing with curiosity, as the moment of truth drew impossibly closer. But no one yet knew what awaited them. The K-9 suddenly froze and let out a low, insistent bark, its body rigid as it stared at the boy's midsection. The mounted officer signaled the other responders to hold back, sensing the urgency in the dog's behavior. The boy's parents leaned closer, panic mixing with confusion. "It's never done this before," his mother whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't understand what's happening." Meanwhile, neighbors exchanged worried glances, some pulling out phones to capture the unfolding scene, while others simply prayed silently. Among them, a retired nurse stepped forward, offering to stay calm and help keep the boy steady. She asked gentle questions about his symptoms, trying to understand what kicking really meant. But the boy couldn't explain clearly. His fear made it impossible to articulate what was happening. The officers began questioning whether this could be a medical emergency, a rare animal encounter, or something far stranger. One patrolman thought back to a report of unusual wildlife in the area, stray animals that had been sighted near the neighborhood. Another suggested it might be something the boy accidentally swallowed or carried unknowingly. Each theory added another layer of tension, none offering a definitive answer. As the sun dipped lower, shadows stretched across the street, heightening the unease. The boy's younger sister watched silently from the sidewalk, clutching her doll, too afraid to move. The K-9 took a cautious step closer, sniffing and circling, then paused, ears alert. The mounted officer's grip on the reins tightened, eyes locked on the boy, ready for whatever revelation was about to unfold. Every heart in the street raced, every mind strained for answers, but the truth remained just out of reach, leaving the mystery unresolved and detention unbearable. The air grew thick with tension as the K-9 crouched low, tail stiff, and emitted a low growl that sent shivers down the spines of everyone watching. The boy clutched his stomach, his small hands trembling, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and confusion. His mother knelt beside him, whispering reassurances, but even her calm voice couldn't mask the growing dread. The mounted officer's horse shifted nervously, sensing the anxiety in the crowd. While the patrol officers exchanged hurried whispers over their radios, neighbors edged closer, drawn by a mix of curiosity and worry, their phones held high but voices hushed. The retired nurse's attempts to distract the boy were met with anxious shakes of his head. He was hyper-focused on the strange sensation inside him. The officers had now formed a cautious circle around the boy, creating a protective barrier as the K-9 slowly inched forward, nose twitching furiously. Suddenly, the boy let out a startled gasp, his body jerking slightly, as though reacting to something the crowd couldn't see. The K-9 barked sharply, then backed up, ears pinned, staring at an unseen point on the boy's side. A ripple of panic ran through the onlookers. The mounted officer raised a hand, signaling everyone to stay back, while one patrolman moved to call for immediate medical support, just in case. Time seemed to stretch. Every heartbeat felt amplified, the boy's labored breathing, the dog's sharp growls, the murmurs of the crowd all blending into a tense symphony of fear. The sun was sinking lower, shadows lengthening, as the boy's mother gripped his hand tighter. The moment of revelation was close, just out of reach, and every eye was locked on the boy, waiting for the shocking discovery that could change everything in an instant. Just as the tension seemed unbearable, the K-9 froze mid-step, ears twitching sharply, then bolted sideways with a sudden urgency that startled the crowd. The mounted officer barely held the reins as his horse stumbled slightly, and the boy let out a small yelp, clutching his belly. The officer's eyes widened. Something had shifted, something they hadn't expected. It wasn't just the boy anymore. The situation had escalated in a way no one could have predicted. From the crowd, a neighbor shouted, pointing toward the backyard fence, "There's something over there. Look." All heads turned, and the boy's younger sister started to cry, sensing the sudden spike in tension. The K-9 barked again, circling frantically, clearly tracking something invisible to everyone else. The officers moved closer, radios crackling as they called for backup and medical support simultaneously. The boy's parents exchanged terrified glances. This wasn't simply a medical issue anymore. Something far stranger was unfolding. The retired nurse tried to calm the boy, placing a hand on his shoulder, but he jerked away, eyes wide as though he could feel something crawling just beneath his skin. "It's moving again. Faster," he gasped, and the words sent a ripple of shock through the crowd. Whispers spread about the unusual wildlife sightings nearby, while some speculated something far more mysterious. As the mounted officer signaled everyone to stay back, the K-9 let out a sharp, urgent bark and lunged toward a spot near the boy's side. In that instant, a strange metallic glint caught the sun, flashing briefly between the boy and the fence. The crowd froze, the suspense unbearable, as it became painfully clear whatever was happening was bigger, stranger, and far more urgent than anyone could have imagined. The K-9 suddenly leaped forward, barking loudly, and scratched at the boy's side. The mounted officer and patrols rushed in, careful not to startle the dog. And that's when the source of the chaos finally revealed itself. A small remote-controlled drone, wedged inside the boy's jacket, tumbled out onto the grass. Its tiny propellers were still spinning, causing the strange movements the boy had felt. The crowd gasped, a mix of relief and disbelief spreading through the street. The boy's mother scooped him up, hugging him tightly, tears streaming down her face as she whispered reassurances. Officers examined the drone, discovering a hidden camera inside. It quickly became clear someone had been spying on the neighborhood, and the boy's strange kicking sensation had been caused entirely by the drone's movements pressing against him. The K-9's keen instincts had picked up on the foreign object, and the mounted officer's caution had prevented any harm. Neighbors murmured, shaken but relieved, while the retired nurse helped the boy calm down, explaining that he had been safe the whole time. Despite the terrifying ordeal, just when everyone thought the crisis was over, a phone notification went off on one of the patrolman's devices. It was a live feed from the drone's camera end. The video showed someone watching the entire scene unfold from a nearby rooftop. The officer's relief vanished instantly, replaced by a fresh surge of tension. Whoever had sent the drone was on